Crystal, can you remember when you first became aware of Reina de los Ángeles?
Oh my gosh. I can't even think of a specific time because Reina's, it feels like it's always been part of my life. I remember growing up and listening to their album. I have an older sister, her name's Karina. She was in Mariachi Reyna, so I remember, from as little as possible, seeing her in a traje playing. I specifically remember the Mariachi Reina de los Ángeles Cerritos show, like then when they were always at Cerritos. That's such a beautiful memory. And yeah, since I was little, I just listened to their music and have their posters in my room. And it's something of a group that I've always aspired to be in.
Are there a few specific criteria about Reina that have always caught your attention and continue to catch your attention to this day?
Yes, I think something that's so special about Mariachi Reyna, well, first, they're America's first all-female mariachi group. So that in itself is super special. Also, the way that the women, I just remember growing up and now, the way that we carry ourselves on stage while we're performing, we keep it's classy, the way that our look is, nice trajes, slick back hair, the earrings, like the bow in the hair, it's super iconic and very specific to Reina, in my opinion, the look. And the way that they interact with the audience is different than other groups because, especially male groups, because the songs that us girls get to sing on stage are, sometimes different that maybe the guys groups don't get to sing, because from a woman's perspective, it touches you differently from the audience's perspective. It touches you in the heart and evokes an emotion out of you. Hearing this woman, a lot of the times it's like plead about their love or heartbreak, and it really touches the audience, and getting to see them, seeing the way that they react to our performances is just, there's nothing like it.
Is there a specific song in that repertoire of songs that have been interpreted by women for women that you think, okay, this song is going to resonate with audiences?
There are so many great, amazing women mariachi singers over the years past that are super iconic. Amalia Mendoza, Lucha Villa, Lola Beltran, Aida Cuevas, Rocío Durcal. We do have, that's such a hard question, because I feel like in every album and every performance, there's always one song that you can tell evokes an emotion a little bit different. People really love, there's one song that we do. We haven't done it in a while, but it's super iconic and people always ask me about it, is La Gata Bajo la Lluvia. And that one song, one of the singers in our group, vocalist Laura Peña, she sings it. It is so beautiful, and like every time I hear that song, I want to start crying. Yeah, that's definitely a fan favorite for sure.
And so when you're on stage and you're listening to Laura interpret that song, is it ever surreal? Like you think, I'm in this moment right now and I've wanted to be in this group for such a long time?
Yeah, for me, my first concert specifically, I remember not just that song specifically, but being on that stage and being able to perform with just all the girls and all the women in Reina it just did not feel real. I could not believe I was doing that. I still can't believe I'm doing it, because it's something this has been my goal my whole life, is just to work hard, practice, get my degree and build up the musical capability to be able to be on stage with these incredible women. So being able now to perform with them, it's absolutely unreal. And I learned so much from all the girls every single time. Laura, she's such a special voice because she doesn't have to overact or anything, because just her voice, just the inflection it has, it moves people. So it's been super special to be able to share the stage with all of the women in Mariachi Reyna and keep learning from them.
Mm-hmm. On the subject of learning, Reina's musical director, as many people well know, is also your dad. So that is a rather interesting dynamic. Most people don't have that experience where their musical director is also their dad. So what's it like learning through your family?
Yeah, I feel super honored to be able to do this and to carry, my family's legacy. I'm the 7th generation of mariachi musicians in my family. So growing up, learning how to sing, my first song was like I was 5 or 6, and I sang Tu Solo Tu on stage with my dad's group, Mariachi Sol de Mexico. And, since I was little, just singing and learning the violin, and my dad just teaching me different things over the years has been super special. But now that I've recently graduated and I come home and I'm more of in a proper way of learning setting, not just at home and my practice room and my dad's like teaching me, but in rehearsal, and getting to see the way he runs a rehearsal is super unique. And I've been in a lot of ensembles, just in musical ensembles. I haven't seen anyone run rehearsals like he has. And he's just so specific and knows exactly what he wants, that every rehearsal you come back with something, wow, like I never knew that, or this is so cool, I'm gonna apply it. And you get better every single time. So it's cool because he's my dad, and it's also cool because he's just such a phenomenal musician, and being able to be in the rehearsal room with him is an honor. So,
is there something that you've learned recently from him that stood out to you where you thought, oh wow, that's a hell of a tip right there?
Specifically, off the top of my head, I was recently at a workshop with my dad. He did a workshop on sones, just the different styles, like el son jalisciense. And that hour workshop was really cool. He was talking about the little inflections that we have on the violin and how it fits in with the trumpets and the armonia section. And it's little thing. And when we came back home, he went over the song with me, and I play my grandpa's violin. So being able to play a son that my grandpa played on the same violin, and then my dad teaching me the way that my grandpa played it on that violin, was really cool.
Like a full circle thing.
Yes, and I'm like, it's just so mind-blowing. And then I was recently in Guadalajara with my dad, and he had a concert there, and I got to see my tío Pedro, who was also an amazing mariachi musician, trumpet player, vocalist. And he got to see me play for the first time. So he gave me some tips afterwards too about, when I'm on stage performing. So it's very cool, and I really appreciate everything that they have to say, and I know that they want to help me as much as possible. So
it seems like you're constantly learning ever since you were a child. How important do you think it is for you to always be open to adding something new to what you can already do as a musician, vocalist?
I think we are lifelong learners, as one might say. I think especially in the genre of mariachi music, there's always so much to learn. Specifically mariachi, because it's not a traditionally written down style of music. It was passed down orally, generation to generation, father to son, father to son, father to son. So now, when my dad started Mariachi Reyna de Los Angeles in 1994, he started the Mariachi Academy in 1991. Half of the academy was all little girls. So it's so important to be able to be open to learning as much as possible, because if you're not, and you're just relying on what you already know, the traditions of years past and the little nuances of the music will get lost. So I think it's always super important to just learn from as many great musicians as you possibly can, take what they have, what advice they have, and try to apply it to how you play. Everyone has their own sort of style. Every group has their own style. So being able to be versatile in the way that you play is super important. And once you build, especially technically, the more you build up technically, the more freedom you have in the way you play stylistically, and you get to kind of see what you like best. So yeah, I think it's super important to just be a lifelong learner and take everything that, whatever musicians you look up to and talk to you have to say, just embrace it and try to take any good information they have.
Mm-hmm. On the subject of learning, you also teach music.
Yes.
And I remember something interesting you said on the Mariachi Más podcast with Lisa and Celeste Hernandez was your reaction to seeing a son pattern written out for the first time. Do you remember what went through your head when you saw that written down? As you mentioned, mariachi music is generally not written down.
Yes. I just remember, I was just like, wait, what? It made sense. I just remember looking at it and being like, oh yeah, that does make sense. Like that fits, and I understand why it's written out the way it is. I'm talking specifically the son pattern for like armonía, you know, seeing the way it's written out and stuff like that. That was really cool. Being able to see it broken down to its most simplest form and seeing how they take that. And now when you listen to like a son that has a bunch of like redobles or something like that, being able to...
What was the term you just used? I'm sorry, I didn't get
redoble.
that. Redobles, okay.
Like a lot of the tricky things that they add to it to make it not so simple and hard. It's cool because now I'm like, oh, I hear the simplicity behind that and like what they're adding in order to make it their own or their special way. And also for the violin too, I remember seeing a son, we'll read sonas or anything that's written down and we're playing it. It's just a little different. It's with both ways, it's hard to write down specifically how to play it because of like the swing and the rhythm, and you can't be too on the metronome too much because then it loses its flavor. So yeah, it's interesting to see the way that people dictate on paper what they hear.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel very well equipped, having seen that son pattern, to teach that to the many little girls and boys who you have a responsibility of teaching as well through the Heritage Society?
Yeah, I mean, I feel I've learned so much. During my student teaching as well in college, and now that I'm home, I've learned so much that I feel as though I've been equipped with the materials I need, and the different teaching methods that I've learned, and how to operate a classroom, and figuring out the best way, what reaches my students the best in the way I teach. Because one class might react to something the way I teach and really respond and understand it immediately, where another classroom, it may not, and I might have to change it and flip it and explain it in another manner. And that's what sticks with them. So being versatile as a teacher and just kind of adapt to the students in the classroom that you have is super important. And I definitely feel like I've been given the right, I guess, toolbox to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. On that note, I asked your dad this as well. Is it more challenging to teach technique or how to interpret a piece so as to elicit certain emotions from an audience?
You know, technique is difficult. I think specifically, technique is difficult because, well, it's technical and it takes a lot of years to master, but stylistically, I'd say it's harder because it's not something you can always teach. You can teach it as much as you can possibly, and that's what's tricky about it, is seeing, like I said, what way can you explain the style or the phrasing that makes it stick with the students or whoever you're sticking to. But I always tell my students, like, make sure you're always listening to as much, you know, if mariachi is what you want to do, listen to as much mariachi music as possible, listen to the way they phrase, because you have to feel it. You have to feel it in you as well with style and phrasing. So being able to listen to as much as possible and kind of get the groove within your body and understand the way the music swings is super important. So it takes a lot of years to get it. So we're always working on it and trying to improve.
Now that you're a full-time musician, how often are you listening to mariachi?
Every second of every day. I mean, I listen to a lot of mariachi. I'm still trying to learn a lot of songs because this is only this is 6 months in Reyna, actually. So I've gotten a lot of rep down, my concert stuff, but I'm always trying to expand my repertoire. So a lot of the times I'm listening to songs that I know I should be learning, I need to learn, but also for fun too. I think absorbing, that's what's so great about my job and why I feel so blessed. I mean, I absolutely love it, and it doesn't feel like a hassle to me. I mean, getting to play this music is such a blessing, so.
There's a song on the album, Te Vas o Te Quedas. You sing on that, correct, with
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Okay. Was that a new song that you added to the repertoire when you joined Reyna? And what was it like being in the studio recording that one in particular? Because it's a rather intense, gut-wrenching song. The lyrics are rather dramatic.
Yes.
As is most mariachi.
Yes. So that was a new song that was added to our repertoire. My dad wrote out the arrangement for it, and we learned it in rehearsal. That song was super cool. It's super cool because Monica Hernandez and I, we actually used to play Mariachi Solecitos together, which was a youth group that my dad put together. And we used to have a song that we used to do a duet together, and being able to join Reyna and then have a duet with her now that we're both 24, going from 10 and singing together, and now at this age it's really cool. And being in the studio and singing that was also an amazing experience. I think that style of singing ranchera, you know, like you said, it's a gut-wrenching song. You're talking about the only thing that's left is for you to leave me, and that would completely break my heart, you know? You have to sing it with that emotion. So being in the studio and trying to phrase it in a way that doesn't completely, we're not trying to like copy another person or style and try to make it unique to us and Reyna style. It can be, you know, for me, I might feel like, oh, I don't know if I should sing it like this or like this. But my dad, he's just like, okay, sing it and we'll see what comes out. And being patient, and like you said, like I was talking earlier, taking advice and being like, hey, that part sounds good, but I want you to phrase this next line a little bit different to sound a little bit more, I guess, the style of Reyna, or how he would like us to sound. So it was a very unique experience, and being able to react quickly and respond quickly to what he wants is super important. So it was really cool. I had a lot of fun. I love singing rancheras and being able to do that. So yeah, it was really cool.
You sang El Pastor as well. I want to know what you think about this. I think that's probably the most difficult song to sing on that album, because you're jumping between the intervals into the falsetto and the mixed voice. So was that experience, what was that like? How challenging was it to do that in the studio and jump back and forth?
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of the songs, all the songs I sang were very completely different in style. So going from like the ranchera to El Pastor, yes, is a very difficult song to sing. You know, like you said, jumping from like chest to falsete. It requires a lot of technique and also patience. So it was difficult in the sense of trying to get it exactly how I would like, and also how my dad would like it. And also not only just the notes, the technical part, but the phrasing, because that song is so popular and you want to phrase it. I wanted people to hear it in a new way that they might not have heard other singers sing it before. And maybe they listen to it and they're like, oh, I never really heard that line before. That specific part never spoke to me, but I love the way that, you know, Reyna sings it on this album. I think that was the goal, and you know, trying to enunciate the words exactly how they're supposed to be, and just clearly. That was the most difficult part about recording that song, was the enunciation and making it as clear as possible without losing the taste and the feeling behind it.
So do you have to balance like the technical aspect of making sure that you pronounce the words properly with what you want to transmit? Do you think you might lose the emotion if you're almost robotic in how you pronounce the words?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like that was the most challenging part for me. It might not be challenging to other musicians, but that's just something I've been working on this past year, is my enunciation in Spanish, especially because, you know, I'm not a completely fluent Spanish speaker. I speak Spanish, but some words are a little bit more tricky than others. So trying not to get in my head about it while recording or anything like that. But yes, I mean, you don't want to be so focused on the words, because it's not live, right? It's a recording. You want every single word that you are saying to be understood in the speaker. That's what you want for the engineer and everything. But I think, yeah, it's easy to get caught up in it and like lose a little bit of the singing and the style. So trying to balance it, that's what I was trying to do in that song, to kind of swing in the huapango style and at the same time be very clear in my words. So yeah, it was challenging, but it was really fun. And I've been singing that song since I was like 7. So it's very special that I feel really honored to be able to sing it on my first, Reyna album that I'm on, to sing that song. And my dad also sings that song. He recorded that song. So being able to sing it in my way is really fun.
Yet another full circle moment. Like you and Monica being together at the age of 10, singing the song on the album and whatnot.
Exactly.
Final question on that album. What do you make of the album as a whole, the result, the finished product, as it were?
I feel so incredibly proud of this album. It is so beautiful. I am so proud of all the girls. Everyone worked so hard. I am so thankful to my dad that he spends the time to continue to make beautiful albums for Mariachi Reyna and, put his heart and soul into it and really guide us and, continue the legacy of Reyna. I mean, 30 years of this group and continue to be strong. It's a beautiful album. All of the songs are absolutely wonderful. There's so many different styles. Our English song, Close to You, we have a potpourri de la Dama de Hierro, Marisela potpourri. That one is so fun. To, a song called Flor del Viento, which my friend Reina Brisa sings it. It's kind of it's a song that not a lot of people, I think, play or a lot of the time. So being able to have it on this album and do it our own way is super fun. And I really hope that everyone enjoys listening to it.
And then we'll conclude briefly now talking about the Christmas tour, which Reina will be a part of the weekend of Cerritos, the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I assume you've been in the audience for years, and now you will be on that stage. Well, you were on that stage as a child. I saw a clip of it once.
Yes.
So what do you want to leave the audience with those shows? ¿Qué le quieres dejar al público con esa presentación en Cerritos del Mariachi Christmas?
Pues espero que les encanten. El concierto va a ser mi primera vez ser reina en el escenario con todas las mujeres y poder compartir el escenario con mi papá y del Mariachi Sol de México y de las reinas. Ese concierto es algo muy especial para mí porque cuando yo era niña, cada año yo estaba cantando ahí, cada año. Y ya tengo como 6 años que yo no voy ahí en el concierto. Y mi primera vez de regresar, estoy ahí en el escenario con Mariachi Reyna de Los Ángeles y espero que les disfruten.